Hi everyone, my name is Isaac and welcome back to Kobe and Baste. For those of you who are new to the channel, the idea is to recreate dishes from my favorite restaurants, and this is episode 2 of the Campechano Taquería series. In this episode I'm going to prepare the Mexican green sauce, or in Spanish salsa verde, and talk about its main ingredient, the tomatillo. In the last episode I prepared corn tortillas from fresh masa, which are the first essential ingredient in Campechano's tacos. Tacos are usually built using a base, the tortilla, and then some kind of vegetable or protein, and then toppings, and then lastly, but maybe most importantly, the salsa. As I was going through some recipes, I realized that Mexican dishes, they're pretty much defined by the salsa used instead of the main ingredient, the vegetable or the meat. And if you look at tamales, for example, you might notice that you have a red or a green or a mole tamale. So putting mole aside for a second, the two most fundamental salsas are red and green salsas, and I have it from a good source that if you walk into any random restaurant in Mexico, you'll probably find one or both of them. The three most traditional types of salsa verde are raw, boiled, and roasted. Raw, the purest form, is all about the acidity from the tomatillos combined with the spiciness of the chiles. Boiled, the modest form, is all about consistency and smoothness. So it's definitely for the ones who prefer a milder heat. And my personal favorite, the roasted salsa verde, which is all about those rich, deep flavors that are the result of the roasting process. The tomatillos are no longer a slap in your face, but instead they reveal their sweet, caramelly flavors, which are the result of the heat releasing the sugars from the tomatillos. That's the salsa we're going to make today. To make roasted salsa verde, first preheat your broiler. Remove the husk from the tomatillos, rinse them and pat dry them. Tomatillos, they're not tomatoes, they're the fruit of a different plant. They are covered with this papery husk, which dries off and peels as the tomatillo gets ripe. Not all tomatillos are green, there are also yellow and purple ones. Depending on how hot your broiler is, roast the tomatillos for 5 to 10 minutes, until they're brownish or slightly start to turn black. The darker they are, the more roasted flavor you'll get. While the tomatillos are being roasted in the oven, we're gonna peel and cut into quarters 2 large onions. I'm not gonna bother chopping them because in a few minutes they're gonna go straight into a blender. If you don't have a broiler, you can alternatively use a cast iron skillet or any other pan will do. After about 5 to 10 minutes, take the tomatillos out of your oven, turn over the tomatillos and let them roast on their outer side for about another 5 to 10 minutes. For this recipe, we only need 3 to 4 medium-sized tomatillos, but I'm making a big batch because in our house it doesn't really last very long, so I'm going to roast about 15 tomatillos. There is this myth that tomatillos are poisonous. They're not, but if you eat their leaves or stems or husks, then they will get you sick. Fun fact, that's also true for tomatoes. Once they're ready, put them aside and let them cool for a bit. Next, we're gonna roast on a cast iron skillet the garlic with their skins on, the onions, and the chiles. Same thing applies here. Roast them, turning from side to side until they get brownish or slightly black. I'm using 5 garlic cloves and 4 jalapeno chiles. When they're done roasting to your liking, put them aside and let them cool for a bit. Once the garlic cooled down a little bit, such that you can handle it, remove the skin, we don't need it anymore. So traditionally, to make salsa verde, you can use jalapenos or serranos. Personally, I like using jalapenos, they're hot enough for me. If you go with serranos, I do recommend adding them a little bit at a time. You can always make the salsa more spicy, but once it's too spicy, you can't go back. If you want to make the salsa a little bit less hot in terms of spiciness, you can remove the stems and the seeds from the chiles. Tomatillos have a high pectin content. That's the thing that we use to make jams and jellies. That's why if you leave it in the fridge for a few days, it will start to solidify a little bit. Traditionally for salsas, people use a molcajete or a pestle and mortar, but I'm not gonna bother, I'm gonna use a blender. Add all of the ingredients into the blender. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure why I added them one at a time and not all of them at the same time, but hey, now you know it really works. My grandma always said that whenever you cook tomatoes, you need to add some sugar to balance out the acidity. We're not cooking tomatoes, but tomatillos are even more acidic than tomatoes. So I'm gonna add some maple syrup. We live in Canada after all. If you're a Mexican and you're watching this, you might think I'm loco, but give it a try. Add salt to taste. Lastly, we're gonna add some cilantro or coriander. I'm gonna store the salsa in a jar until I'm gonna use it. The salsa will keep in the fridge for about a week or so, and if you freeze it, it will last for about 2 months. So that's it. That's how you make salsa verde. If you ask Magda, salsa verde goes well with everything. But the classical combinations are with enchiladas, tamales, flautas, or chilaquiles. You can add avocado to the salsa verde, which is a slight variation, but it will make it a little bit more creamy. In the next episode, we're gonna prepare the other fundamental salsa, salsa roja. You're probably expecting me to tell you to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button. I'm not gonna do that. Instead, I'm gonna share with you my favorite YouTubers that I follow. This time you should check out Becky and Chris, fellow Canadians from Newfoundland that currently live in Buffalo, New York. They have nothing to do with cooking, but everything to do with inspiring me to be creative and follow my dreams. So go check them out. Until the next time, provecho. Provecho, provecho, provecho.